Welcome to the CareClinic Pod. I'm Emma, and this is Jones.
Ever feel like you're living with a secret? One that brings excruciating pain, like seriously could bring you to your knees, but it's invisible. People who don't get it just brush it off like, bad periods, right? But it's so much more than that. And if you're nodding along right now, you are so not alone.
We're diving deep today into endometriosis. What is it? What causes it? How is it diagnosed? And most importantly, what can you do about it?
We are so lucky to have an expert with us today, someone who can walk us through all the ins and outs of this complex condition.
Happy to be here. It's important, I think, to start with just what is endometriosis?
So every month, the lining of your uterus is called the endometrium, right? It gets ready for a possible pregnancy. And if you don't get pregnant, that lining sheds, that's your period. Makes sense.
But with endometriosis, you get tissues similar to that lining, but it grows outside the uterus. It's wild. It's like, imagine your wallpaper decided, you know what, I'm not sticking to just one room. I'm redecorating the whole house.
This tissue, it still does its thing, thickens, breaks down, bleeds, all in that same cycle, just like the lining inside your uterus. But it's got nowhere to go, so it gets tracked. And that's what causes the inflammation, the pain, the scar tissue even.
Okay, wow. That wallpaper analogy, that really paints a picture. No wonder it's so painful. So what should someone be looking out for? Like, when should they think, maybe this is endometriosis, not just a bad period?
So the most common thing is pelvic pain, especially during, you guessed it, your period. But, and this is key, pain with your period, that's not normal. It shouldn't be happening.
You might also have pain during sex, really heavy bleeding, pain when you pee or poop. Even infertility can be related.
So this isn't just about painful periods. It can impact like so many parts of a woman's life. That must make it really hard to get diagnosed, especially since you said not everyone has the same symptoms. Some people don't even have any, but they notice.
Yeah, you're right. That's why it's so important to advocate for yourself. If something feels off, talk to your doctor. Don't wait. They might start with a pelvic exam, feel around for anything unusual. But usually they need to do imaging tests, like an ultrasound, to get a better look.
Okay, so say those tests make them think it could be endometriosis. Is there a way to know for sure?
The gold standard, the way they really know for sure, is laparoscopy.
It's surgery, but minimally invasive. They put a thin tube with a camera on it through a tiny incision in your abdomen. So the surgeon can actually see the endometrial implants and take a biopsy. That's how they confirm it.
Okay, so that sounds intense. It must be a relief to have an answer, but also, whoa, probably a lot to take in at that point, right? What happens next?
You're telling me. It's a lot to process. Usually the first thing they try is hormonal therapy.
The goal is to basically slow down, stop that endometrial tissue from growing and doing its thing. There are a few different kinds. Birth control pills are common. They stop ovulation, so less of those hormone swings that make the tissue grow.
Makes sense. So it's not even just about preventing pregnancy, but actually trying to stop the pain at the source by controlling the hormones.
Exactly. There's also progestin-only therapy, kind of similar to birth control. It thins the uterine lining. And then there are GnRH agonists. Now, those are meds that put your ovaries to sleep for a bit, basically putting your period on hold.
Okay, so that's super helpful to understand the types of hormonal therapy and the why behind it. But what about pain relief itself? Because even if you're on meds to manage it, that pain can be really bad.
For sure. And that's where pain management strategies are key. For some women, over-the-counter stuff like ibuprofen or naproxen might do the trick. But others, especially if the pain's severe, might need prescription meds.
It sounds like it's really about finding that right mix with your doctor, what treats the endometriosis itself and deals with the pain so you can function.
100%. And it's a marathon, not a sprint, Yeah. Managing a chronic condition like this, it takes trial and error, figuring out what works for you.
Which is why it's so crucial to track your symptoms, your meds, how you're feeling overall. It can be overwhelming, but there are tools that help. The CareClinic app, it makes it so much easier to stay organized, keep on top of everything, and really advocate for your own health.
I'm with you on that one. And speaking of advocating for yourself, we've talked a lot about the medical side, but it's so much more than that, right?
100%. It's about getting your life back. And that often means looking into alternative therapies, finding your people, your support system. We'll be right back after a quick break to get into all of that, so don't go anywhere.
It really is about taking a holistic view, your whole well-being.
Totally. And a lot of women, they find relief in alternative therapies. What are some of the things you've seen work?
Well, acupuncture comes up a lot. People have used it forever to help with pain, and some women with endometriosis, they say it really does ease their symptoms.
I've heard that. Something about those needles, right? They're supposed to like stimulate certain points, get the energy flowing, reduce inflammation, all that. Sounds kind of scary, but hey, if it works.
Right. And it's not all ancient stuff either. Physical therapy can be huge, especially pelvic floor therapy.
Okay, break that down for me. How does working with a physical therapist help with endo pain?
So, your pelvic floor muscles, they're this group of muscles that support like your bladder, uterus, rectum, the whole shebang. They're involved in everything bladder control, even sex. Endometriosis can make these muscles really tight, even go into spasms. That equals pain.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's like they're all tense, overworked because of everything else going on. And physical therapy helps to like chill them out, strengthen them up.
Exactly. They'll do gentle exercises, stretches, sometimes hands-on stuff to release the tension, make things more flexible, reduce the pain.
Wow. It really shows you how connected everything is in the body, huh?
hmm
It's not just about treating the endo itself, but all the ways it impacts you, like those pelvic floor muscles.
100%. And you know what else can impact those systems? Your diet.
Oh, for sure. Food, it's like medicine or poison, right?
Exactly.
Huh.
Now, I gotta say, there's no magic endometriosis diet. What works for one person might not work for another.
Yeah, bio-individuality, right? Everyone's different.
Exactly. But cutting back on inflammatory stuff, processed foods, sugar, all that, a lot of women say that makes a difference.
Makes sense. Less overall inflammation in your body. Got to be good.
You got it. And then loading up on the good stuff, fruits, veggies, whole grains, healthy fats.
So it's about listening to your body, trying things out, finding what works for you.
And you know what else makes a huge difference? Having a support system. People to talk to vent to celebrate with. It makes the emotional roller coaster of endometriosis so much easier to handle.
Oh my gosh, yes. Endo can be so isolating, especially if the people around you just don't get it. Finding your tribe, those people who are in the trenches with you, it's so important.
And the internet has made it so much easier to connect, right? There are tons of online forums, support groups, even just connecting on social media. You can find people going through the same thing no matter where you are.
It's true. Technology can really bridge those gaps and help you build a community.
Absolutely. And if you prefer meeting people face to face, lots of cities have support groups or meetups specifically for endometriosis.
And what if someone's listening and they're like, I don't have that, I don't have people who get it? What would you tell them?
Reach out. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Talk to your doctor. See if they know of any support groups or therapists who specialize in chronic pain or women's health. And if online communities feel right, dive in. You might be surprised how many people out there understand exactly what you're going through.
Because remember, you are not alone in this. Millions of women are dealing with endometriosis. There's strength in numbers. Speaking of strength, we talked about self-care, managing stress, finding your people. But for actually managing the pain, what are some practical things listeners can do, like right now, to get some relief?
That is such an important question and one we are going to answer right after this.
And we are back talking all things endometriosis and how to manage, life with this condition. Where were we? Pain management.
Yeah, practical tips for finding relief. And one of the simplest things, honestly, but it can make a huge difference, is tracking your symptoms.
Like a pain journal.
Totally. But level it up. Don't just write down how much it hurts. Note everything. Bloating, fatigue, any digestive stuff, anything at all. And think about triggers. Is it worse at certain times in your cycle, certain foods? When you're stressed out, putting it all together, it's empowering.
You become your own body detective.
Exactly. You start seeing the patterns, connecting the dots, and that info, it's gold when you talk to your doctor. You can advocate for yourself way better, make smarter choices about your treatment.
So true. It's easy to forget stuff when you're actually sitting there in the doctor's office. Having it all organized can be such a lifesaver.
No kidding. And speaking of organization, have you heard of the CareClinic app?
Of course. Big fans here.
It's amazing for any chronic condition, but especially for endometriosis, I gotta say. Track your symptoms, log your meds, your cycle, everything in one place.
And you can share it with your doctor. No more trying to remember every little thing.
Right. You are in the driver's seat. Totally.
Love that. Okay, so besides tracking, what else can people do for the pain?
Don't underestimate moving your body.
Oh yeah, I'm all about this. After a good workout, I always feel so much better.
Now, I'm not saying go run a marathon when you have endometriosis. Not at all. Gentle exercise is key. Yoga, swimming, walking, things that get you moving but are easy on your system.
Finding that sweet spot. And exercise releases endorphins, right? Like your body's natural painkillers.
Exactly. And speaking of feeling good, self-care is so important. It looks different for everyone. Maybe it's a hot bath, a good book, getting out in nature, whatever helps you unwind, de-stress.
Because stress can be a huge trigger for endo pain, right?
Yeah. No question. It's like this awful cycle. Endo causes pain, pain stresses you out, stress makes the pain worse. Ugh. So yeah, finding ways to cope with stress, super important. Meditation, deep breathing, ever tried those?
I have. They really do help calm your mind, your whole body, honestly.
And hey, if you're struggling, don't be afraid to reach out to a professional. A therapist can give you tools to deal with chronic pain and how it affects you mentally and emotionally.
This is so important. It's okay to ask for help.
Right.
Therapist, support group, loved ones, anyone.
Seriously, you don't have to go through this alone. There's a whole community rooting for you.
That is what we're all about here, giving you the info, the resources, and hopefully a little bit of hope.
Because there is always hope. New treatments are coming out all the time. And with the right knowledge, the right support, you can absolutely live a full, amazing life with endometriosis.
We've covered a lot of ground, haven't we? What endometriosis even is, the treatments, ways to manage the pain, so much good stuff.
Don't forget advocating for yourself, finding your tribe, and honestly, just prioritizing taking care of you.
Yes, if there's just one thing you take away from this, it's that you're not alone, and there is hope for a brighter future. A future where endometriosis doesn't hold you back from living your best life.
Love that. And knowledge is power, right? The more you understand your own body, the choices you have, the more empowered you'll be.
100%. We'll link all the resources we talked about in the show notes. Definitely check those out.
And come join the conversation. Tell us your story.
Your voice matters. Sharing your journey, it might just be what someone else needed to hear, you know? Okay, thank you for joining us for this deep dive on endometriosis. We'll see you next time.